Hello and welcome to the guide for the Felhounds of Sargeras on the Mythic difficulty in Antorus, the Burning Throne. In this fight we use 2 tanks, 4 healers and 14 DPS. To start with, we'll go over the positioning in this encounter. For this we had the room split into half, where we had the fire side and the shadow side. Every time fire spawned on the fire side, we moved down the room towards the entrance, and once we reached the end of the room, we turned around and went back to the starting location. The Shadow Dog just moves along with the Fire Dog so that the healers can reach both sides if they wish to do so, but this isn't essential. And this also makes it when people need to swap from one dog to another, the movement is short. The main change for this fight are the debuff assignments. These are the Flame Touched and the Shadow Touched debuffs, which make you take 25% or less damage of that respective element. However, when you take damage from the opposing element, an additional effect also happens. So when you take shadow damage with the Flame Touch debuff, you'll also spawn a puddle of fire underneath you, which is indicated with a glowing red animation. And when you take fire damage with the Shadow Touch debuff, you'll grip the player that is nearest to you. The debuff assignments for Flame Touch and Shadow Touch are given at 100% and 50% boss health. So for those with the Flame Touch debuff that are on the Fire Dog, the fight changes quite a bit for you as there is a lot of new movement in the fight. However, if you get the Shadow Touch debuff, the fight doesn't really change all that much. The last change in this encounter for Mythic is that the bosses no longer have a shared health pool, and whilst the temptation might be to try and keep them as even as possible throughout the fight, we found that this isn't really much of a concern until the end of a fight, where you can even them out without too much risk. We typically did this when the boss was around 10-15% health, and we just nuked one down and the other naturally died. Some additional tips for this fight. The fear that gets applied on players can be removed with Blessing of Protection, so if a tank is too far away from the group they can call for this and it will just get rid of the fear that is on them. Tanks need to be aware when their boss stacks are quite high, so when they're above 5 or so stacks they need to start using cooldowns on each hit after that to make sure they don't die, as this is where the tank's health starts to ping pong a bit. And finally, for the raid leaders or observant raiders, you might have noticed there's a weak aura at the top of the screen, which is a visual indicator of the boss abilities. This will be linked in the description down below and it really helped me with making calls throughout the fight. And that's all there is to it for this fight. Once you've got your stacking and spreading all sorted out, this boss is a pretty quick progression curve. Hopefully this video helps you get this boss down, and thanks for watching.